Uzbekistan's former Deputy Ambassador to the United Kingdom, Kader Yusupov, is on trial for treason in his home country after claiming to be a spy during what appeared to be a psychotic episode and suicide attempt. Kader Yusupov's son, Babur, has lived in London for years and is now fighting for his father's freedom. And he's with me now. Welcome to you indeed. This is obviously a very disturbing and troubling story. Could you just explain it a little bit more there?
Sure, Adam. Thank you for having me here. So last I spoke to my father was 270 days ago. He called me and he said he had insomnia for many weeks. He had heart problems. He was very fragile. The next day, I got a message from my brother saying that our father has thrown himself under the train. Fortunately, he survived. But when he was in hospital bed, he apparently admitted to being a spy for the West, although we have never seen any evidence of that. Following on from that week, he was arrested, and this was the last we saw of him. That was about 8 months ago.
We have some rather disturbing, troubling pictures of him. This was after his suicide attempt, wasn't it?
Yes, correct. Yeah. That was in the hospital. When he was arrested, we didn't know where he was initially, but what transpired later on was that he had no access to a lawyer for about 5 months, and we only got access to a lawyer after begging the Foreign Office to intervene. They raised the issue privately with the Foreign Ministry of Uzbekistan, and within a week they allowed access to a lawyer at the end of April.
And is your argument that he's had some kind of mental breakdown, that you can't take seriously what he's saying about being a spy?
Well, we do know that he had a history of schizophrenia in our family, and he had those episodes before. He was in semi-retirement. He left the civil service in 2009. The prosecution alleges that he started spying in 2015. What we do know is that the way he was treated in prison, so he had no access to a lawyer, he was tortured, makes us think that he is not going to get a fair trial. The trial is held in secret. The media or the family do not have access to it.
Are there any details of the allegations? I mean, what he's supposed to have done, who he's meant to be spying for?
No, so far we haven't seen any evidence. We know that the lawyer can tell us certain things, although he has non-disclosure commitments as well, but we haven't seen any evidence.
So this case is basically built on what he said?
Correct.
And perhaps obviously under duress at a time of distress.
Well, he was held in solitary confinement from December till April. And when the lawyer did get access, we found out that he was psychologically tortured and psychologically manipulated for these 4 or 5 months. The details I can tell you, but it's sexual threats, it's threats of violence against my mother and my sister, threat of arrest of my brother and myself, extradition to Uzbekistan.
Now, what about your family? What access do you have to him now?
Well, we still are not allowed to see him. We can occasionally send a letter, which is a one-pager, and we keep things generically. But it's been a tough time for our family.
And are your family all out of Uzbekistan, or
no? They're all in Uzbekistan, apart from me.
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm in a lucky position. I live in the UK, but my brother, my sister, my mother are all there.
Now, obviously, you're fighting your father's cause. Do you want official British involvement in this case, or to raise the case, or something like that?
Yes, and the British government has been very helpful. Our MPs, Greg Hands and Alan Duncan, who was a former Minister of State, they've been pushing the Foreign Office for them to get involved, and so far they've been trying they've been trying their best to use diplomatic channels. Right now, what we're looking for is for more involvement from human rights groups, advocacy law firms, or anyone who has an interest in the region.
And this is in the context of a time when, under the new president, Uzbekistan is supposed to be modernising in a more progressive direction after the rule of the late President Karimov.
Yes, indeed, and You know, the good thing is that there are things that are happening. There are the progressive things, especially when it comes to the economy. On the political side, there's still work to be done. I know that the British government under Boris Johnson have been making efforts to have more, sort of more of a relationship, which is a good thing. It's a country that has ancient civilization. It has potential, a huge potential for British tourists and businesses. But I guess we need to know what we're dealing with. And we need to know where the government of Uzbekistan stands when it comes to fundamental things.
OK, Babur Yusupov, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Well, time now for the weather.